Hey everyone, welcome back to the bench and to another how-to, and Jim asks the question. So what's the how-to today? So the how-to today is I thought we'd look at hammering, how to hammer wire properly, and what hammers does a beginner need really as well, because I know you beginners out there, some of you have been doing my projects, you're going to see I get the hammer out quite a lot for things, and it might be something you're going to thinking of buying, because really after you bought your chain nose, flat nose, round nose and your snips, a hammer is the next, or a hammer and block is the next thing to buy. So what's the other question? Jim asks a question, that's the other thing. So my question today will be are you holding your hammer properly? Now, I understand, I get this. I'm probably going to get screamed and shouted at by some people. I'm going to hold the hammer however I want to hold the hammer. That's fine. You do you, and you hold the hammer however you want to hold the hammer. But I will say this, all tools have a right way and a wrong way of being used or held. And if you use them properly and you hold them properly, the tool works for you and you don't work for the tool. So what do I mean by that really? So like with a hammer, when it comes to a hammer, you're going to hold it at the base. We'll get to that in a second, but it works for you. There's less effort involved because the tool has been designed a certain way. I could talk about sawing wood, but we don't saw wood in wire wrapping, so there's no point in going down that road. It's like when using a saw, you have to use the saw the right way. The saw will do the sawing, not you, and you spend or excel less energy. It's the same with hammering as well. So that's why I thought I'd put this video together, is to show you. So I know it sounds like you're sucking eggs, but I bet some of you are not holding your hammer properly. So as a beginner, what do I recommend? So obviously you're going to go out, you're going to need to get yourself a little steel block like this. Get a little one. That's all you need as a beginner, as a starter. Just get one of these. And the next hammer you're going to buy, or just, is a chasing hammer. And there's lots of different types of chasing hammers. You'll see different types out there. I prefer the ones that's got slightly bowed, front and slightly bend on there. You get flat ones. It's up to you. Buy a couple, see what works for you. But that's what you're looking for, a chasing hammer. And they often come with a knobbly bit on the other side, and this is for texturing. We'll look at texturing at the end of this video. And the next hammer I recommend you buy at the same time as the chasing hammer, is you want to get yourself a rubber hammer. One of these. Rubber, and normally got plastic on the other end as well. Now, what does this do for? It basically work hardens. It helps straighten wire, helps to do many things where you don't want to use this, you don't want to put a dent in something, but you need a hammer for something. That's where you get your rubber hammer out for. Like bending around the mandrels, like doing ring mandrels or bracelet mandrels as well. That's where you'd be using a rubber hammer. I've even got a larger version of it here for when I really want to get a bit of weight behind it. It's normally when I'm bending around the bracelet mandrels as well. I find that's when it comes in handy. I don't often use the plastic side, but I do occasionally because often I do like this for work hardening as well. Now also, along with this, you might want to get yourself a rawhide hammer. Now again, this basically does the same thing as the rubber hammer, but it's kind of in between. It's got a little bit more to it. Acts a bit more like the plastic end. So over a period of time, this will flatten the wire, but it's not going to go mental. It's not going to go really hard. And you've got to put a bit of welly behind it. But again, another one of these perfect tools for when you're using your mandrels. Bending around your mandrels, you got your wire wrap, and this is not going to damage your wire. It's not going to flatten it. Obviously, don't do too much of it. But to be honest, I prefer my rubber hammer. That's all. It's just preference. I've got a rawhide for when I do need it, but I just prefer my rubber hammer. That's all I need. So yeah, as a beginner, all you need is you just need to start off with your chasing hammer and a rubber hammer. And these will do you proud. And get the small ones. Ones like this, they fit in a toolbox. Really easy to carry around, and especially the small block. That's all you need as a beginner. You really don't need much more, but there are loads more hammers out there. As you go shopping, you'll see I've got a pin hammer here. Don't often use it, but I've got a pin hammer. And I've got texturing hammers as well. We'll get to that at the end of the video, and I'll show you what these do. Right then, let's look at how to hammer properly and how to hold your hammer properly. How to hold your hammer properly. Now, I can guarantee there's a few of you out there are holding it up here. That's not how you hold your hammer properly. In fact, that has a term. In the world of carpentry, it's called choking your hammer. It's something my dear old granddad used to teach us as kids not to do from a very, very early age as well. So how to hold a hammer? You hold it down here. Now, the reason you hold a hammer down here, it's all about leverage and swing. You're going to get that swing, you're going to get better balance. You're going to get reduced strain from the wrist because the hammer's working for you. You're not working the hammer. Does that make sense? Well, the more you do it, you'll realize that tools work for you. You don't work for the hammer as well. So yeah, holding it by the wrist down there, and you're just going to get way more leverage coming down, and you're going to get consistent blows on the same spot as well, because it can be a little tricky hitting the same spot over again. You notice I like to run my finger down here. That's just my personal thing. It just helps me a little bit, just with a bit more control. So the reason you don't hear, you're going to get uneven flat wire. You're going to be all in different places. Chances are you might be all over the place, and you can mark the edges. Your strikes won't be that good, so chances are you will leave marks and damage delicate weave. There's lots of reasons you just don't hold your hammer like this. Now I know some of you probably do, and you probably find it's okay, and you've always done it. Go for it, carry on. But there's a right way and a wrong way to hold a tool. So the right way is to hold it down here. So a good analogy would be, so if you play baseball, cricket, or rounders, you don't hold the bat up this end, do you? Because you've got no swing. You hold it down here, and suddenly, see that? That's why you hold a hammer down at the base. So yeah, think that. You wouldn't hold a cricket bat, or you wouldn't hold a baseball bat up the top here. You'd hold it down here to get that leverage and that arc to get that swing. So yeah, that's how you hold a hammer. Hold it at the base, and don't choke your hammer. That's the wrong thing to do. Right, let's get the sketchbook out and let me show you how to hammer wire properly. Right, before we actually hit any wire, let me show you on my sketch pad how to hit wire. Now, there is one trick to this, and one trick only, is that when you're hitting your wire, you're looking to get an even amount of hits down it. So what you're looking to do is to overlap each hit. So, as you can see, they're nearly touching. That's it. That's all you're aiming to do. And as long as you do that down the wire, you're going to get an even amount of hits, and you're going to get an even amount of wire, all the same flatness. It takes a bit of practice to get it right, but that's what you're aiming to do. In fact, I got shown this by a blacksmith. He reminded me that actually, really, we're micro blacksmiths, we're mini blacksmiths. It's all the same skills. He just uses big giant pieces of metal bar and hammers those, and I'm using wire. There's no difference between two by the size, but the skills are the same. So that's what you're looking to do, is when you're hammering down your wire, you're looking to overlap all the hits. Right, let's hammer some wire. Right, let's get started. I've got some twisted wire here to hammer. Looks good visually on camera. That's why I've chosen to use it. So when you're hammering wire, you're looking to, especially, it depends on the size of your block, you're looking to keep your hammer, like I say, in one position, and probably move the wire up and down as you're hammering as well. But it all depends on the size of your block. You might have a larger block where you can do that and go down the wire. But most of us, and most of you beginners, are just going to be buying a little block like I've got here. So I'm going to start hammering now, and obviously I'm going to try and keep my hammer in the same position. As you notice, I am holding the hammer down at the base here. As again, I like to run my finger across the top there just for more balance. And I'm just going to hammer this until I get a nice pattern, or like a hole in the middle of it, because then I can use this in my work. I can put this in my spare wire pot, and it can definitely come out probably in a future tutorial. So let's get going. There we go. I'm going to stop there. And as you can see, I've got a nice hole in between my twisted wire. So you can see it didn't take long. I went down twice each side. That's all I did. And I wasn't hitting it really heavy. It was just quite a... So it just shows really, when you hold your hammer properly and get the hammer to do the job, it will do a lot of the job for you, and that extra weight will come down and flatten that wire. To be honest, copper's soft, so you don't really need to hit it too hard. But what I don't know if you've noticed, this is all slightly bent, a little bit out of shape. So this is where it's time to get the rubber hammer out. And just start using the rubber hammer and straighten it, even turning it on its side. Just going back and forwards until you're happy with it. Yeah, pretty pleased with that. Could probably work on it a bit longer and get it straight. But you can see what I mean by with the rubber hammers there. Really helpful to get that straight, because you're not going to do that with the chasing hammer. If you start using the chasing hammer along here, all you're going to do is start adding dents and you're going to start flattening. But with the rubber hammer, you can get in there and you're not worried. You can go down the sides and you're not going to flatten anything or square anything off. There we go. That's basic hammering for you. Quite a simple thing, really, and I'm sure most of you know how to do it. But yeah, that's what you need to do. Hold the hammer properly, and remember, everybody, to just do the concentric circles and make sure you overlap. Perfect. Right, let me show you some of my texturing hammers, how to use them, and what texture they kind of bring to the wire. Once you've got your chasing hammer and your rubber hammer, and you're looking to buy some more tools, I know you are, I recommend to looking to texturing hammers, especially if you're going down the road of using some plate metal as well. These come out, these are really handy. But yeah, texturing hammers. I recently used this one here, which has got like a square bits on it. I recently used this one in the cuff project as well. So the reason I got these, and these came about, is that we had Nicole Hannah come over and teach our wire wrapping retreat, and we were hammering sheet metal. It does look amazing, I must admit. I'm about to show you on a demonstration. But let me just show you what these actually look like. So here we go, texturing hammers. So there's this one. This one's got dimples in, round dimples. And on the other side, we got thin, fine lines. And then here, as I've shown you before in another video, we have squares. I like this one. I've used this one the most. I really do like how that comes out. And on the other side, we have thicker lines, similar to that one, but thicker. Those are thinner, and those are thicker. Now, I'm sure there's other texturing hammers out there. These are just the couple I have. Now, I'm sure, go looking through all the different websites. I'm sure you're going to find lots of different texturing hammers and different types of patterns on them as well. Right then, let me show you what these do. I've got a bit of plate metal here left over, and just because it's a lot easier on camera to see exactly what these do. So let's start with the square one. Let's start with that square pattern. Let's see how that comes out. Let's do it on the edge here. There we go. Can you see that? There we go. It's not too bad. Let me get the edge a bit more. That's better. That's better. It's got a nice mottly effect. Really stands out when you patina, because I've used this before in some projects. In my cuff project, I used it as well. That's not too bad. It was pretty cool. So let's turn the other side. That's the, as you can see, it's the square one. Let's turn over. We're going to the thicker lines. Let's see what this looks like. Cool. I like that one. That looks pretty cool. It's a bit like brickwork. Wow. I'm just, again, patinaed. That's going to really come out. Oh, I like that. That doesn't look too bad at all. So let's have a look at the other one as well. So this one now, let's look for the mottled kind of circular, the dimples. Let's do the corner. Again, well, that's interesting pattern to that. Looks a bit like rock. I quite like that. That would look quite, again, patinaed. You're going to get all that patina's going to get in there and highlight those kind of ridges. So there we go. Let's see what the dimples do. So nice bit of space here left. So we're going to go for the last one, which is the finer lines. Let's see how that comes out. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Now that does look good. You know what? I found a new texture. I'm going to have to come up with a project now using that. That looks great. Look at that. Patina that. Oh, sorry, just nudged the camera. Sorry for the wobble. Wow, look at that. Oh, well, I'm going to keep looking at that for a bit. I really enjoy that. That's great. Fantastic. So there you go. That's textured hammers. So does Lonely Soldier recommend textured hammers? Yes, he does recommend textured hammers, especially if you're going to be doing plate. There you go, everybody. That's how to hammer properly. And does Lonely Soldier recommend textured hammers? Yeah, he does recommend textured hammers. I recommend going, have a look around, buy a few, see what they do, and play around with them. But yeah, it's another tool to collect, to put in the arsenal. Definitely worth getting. But if you're a beginner, you found yourself here a beginner and you're thinking, do I need a hammer or do I need a hammer? Well, yeah, of course you do. You do need a hammer. You do need one. And the first one to buy would be your chasing hammer. And then obviously, at the same time, get your rubber hammer. And then you're pretty sorted from there. And that's all you need, really. And like I say, you can do texturing with the back of your chasing hammer as well. Nice one, people. Been great fun showing you this. And just a quick reminder, please like, subscribe, and share. I don't say it enough. I must remember to say it a bit more often. Please like, subscribe, and share. So I look forward to seeing you all back at the bench in a couple of weeks' time, where we have a new tutorial coming your way. Yes, we do have a tutorial, and it will be a pendant tutorial over 3 parts as usual. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be upping the skills here a little bit. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky one, but if you have completed my other pendant tutorials, you should find this one relatively easy. Nice one, people. I look forward to seeing you all back in the bench in a couple of weeks' time with a new tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye. As usual, I'd like a massive thank you to everybody out there who helps to keep this channel going, especially everybody over at Patreon and Buy Me a Cup of Tea. Your help goes a long way. It really does. I have very special thanks to Yasmin Khan, Wendy Cheverton, Vivian Hussey, Loretta Morgan, Sandra Lane, Ruby, Roxanne Coyne, Nutty Beeder, Nicola Kim, Matthew Smith, Kyle Fry, Joyce, Jill, Jennifer Smith, Jamie Cresdy, Jennifer Harworth, Jennifer Roosh, Elizabeth Polk, Deborah Ensor, Amanda Ryan, Jenny N, Norm Fox, Janine Piper, Sue Corrie, and Kyla. Your help goes a long way in keeping this channel going. I thank you.